John F. Kennedy, The Making of a President, Before the Presidency, Before the White House, Before the Cold War Speeches, before he became the father of 2 children who would one day play beneath the resolute desk. John Fitzgerald Kennedy was born on May 29, 1917, in Brookline, Massachusetts, into a family where ambition wasn't encouraged. It was engineered. His father, Joseph P. Kennedy Sr., had built a fortune through banking, Hollywood investments, and stock market strategy. He believed success required control of money, of media, of perception. His mother, Rose Fitzgerald Kennedy, came from political royalty. Her father had served 3 terms as mayor of Boston. Politics, prestige, and power were already in the bloodline. But young Jack Kennedy did not look like the future of American leadership. He was thin, frequently ill, hospitalized repeatedly for stomach disorders, fevers, and what doctors would later identify as Addison's disease. At times, his health was so fragile that teachers wondered if he would keep up in school. Compared to his athletic, confident older brother Joe Jr., Jack seemed like the understudy. And in many ways he was the shadow of Joe Jr. Joe Kennedy Jr. was everything their father admired. Strong, disciplined, commanding. From early childhood, Joseph Sr. made it clear Joe Jr. would be president one day. It wasn't a casual hope. It was a blueprint that left Jack in a strange position. He wasn't expected to carry the political torch. He wasn't molded as aggressively. Instead, he developed differently. More observant, more reflective. He read constantly. History fascinated him. He devoured biographies of British leaders and accounts of global conflict. While Joe Jr. aimed to dominate, Jack studied power quietly. The rivalry between brothers wasn't loud or dramatic. It was subtle. Competitive grades, athletic comparisons, quiet attempts to impress a father who measured worth in achievement. Yet that dynamic would eventually flip in a way no one could predict. Prep school, rebellion, and identity. Kennedy attended the prestigious Choate School in Connecticut. It was there that he earned a reputation, not as a star scholar, but as witty, mischievous, and socially magnetic. He formed a group called the Muckers, known for pranks and rule-bending. He wasn't the top of his class, but he understood something equally important: likability. Even then, he showed signs of political instinct. He could charm teachers after disciplinary trouble. He knew how to deflect criticism with humor. He built alliances easily. But behind the social ease was constant physical pain. He was hospitalized repeatedly. He wore back braces. He struggled with digestive disorders that left him weak for days at a time. The public would one day see a vibrant, athletic leader. But the private reality was very different. Harvard and the birth of a political mind. In 1936, Kennedy entered Harvard University. By then, his father had been appointed U.S. ambassador to the United Kingdom. Jack spent time in London, observing European politics up close as tensions escalated toward World War II. This exposure changed him. While many American students focused on campus life, Kennedy immersed himself in international affairs. He saw firsthand how Britain struggled to respond to Adolf Hitler's aggression. He watched diplomacy falter. His senior thesis analyzed Britain's military unpreparedness. That thesis was later published as Why England Slept, becoming a bestseller in 1940. He was just 23 years old. That book did 2 things. It established him as serious, and it introduced the Kennedy name to a national audience. Joseph Kennedy Sr. ensured the book received press coverage. But the ideas inside were Jack's. He had developed a worldview centered on strength, preparedness, and strategic deterrence, themes that would later define his presidency. Yet before politics would claim him fully, war intervened. War in the Pacific, PT 109. Despite chronic health issues, Kennedy joined the U.S. Navy in 1941. His father's influence helped secure his entry, but service was real and dangerous. By 1943, He commanded Patrol Torpedo Boat 109 in the Pacific. On the night of August 2, 1943, a Japanese destroyer collided with PT-109, slicing it in half. 2 crew members were killed instantly. The rest were thrown into dark waters. Kennedy, injured himself, swam for hours. He towed a wounded crewman by gripping a life vest strap between his teeth. He led survivors to a small island. For days, they rationed coconuts and searched for rescue. Eventually, Kennedy carved a message into a coconut shell, which local islanders delivered to Allied forces. The crew was rescued. The story exploded in American newspapers. The sickly boy from Massachusetts was now a war hero. But the incident worsened his chronic back injuries permanently. For the rest of his life, he would endure pain management treatments, surgeries, and medical secrecy. The image of vitality the public later saw was carefully curated. The death that changed everything. In 1944, tragedy struck. Joseph Kennedy Jr., the family's political heir, was killed during a classified aerial mission in Europe. The explosion destroyed his aircraft. The family was devastated. But Joseph Sr.'s political ambitions did not disappear. They shifted. Now Jack became the vessel for those expectations. Grief altered him. Responsibility hardened him. He understood that his life would no longer be optional in its direction. Politics was no longer a possibility. It was destiny. Entering Congress, the first campaign. In 1946, Kennedy ran for the U.S. House of Representatives in Massachusetts' 11th District. He was just 29 years old. The campaign was disciplined. Door-to-door canvassing, strategic advertising, personal appearances in working-class neighborhoods. His mother hosted teas. His sisters volunteered. The Kennedy machine mobilized. He won decisively. In Congress, he positioned himself as pragmatic rather than radical. He focused on veterans' issues, labor concerns, and foreign policy, especially post-war Reconstruction. He wasn't loud. He wasn't theatrical. He was calculating. The Senate victory. In 1952, Kennedy challenged Republican incumbent Henry Cabot Lodge Jr. for a U.S. Senate seat. It was considered an uphill battle. He won. At 35 years old, Kennedy became one of the youngest members of the Senate. Behind the scenes, however, his health deteriorated. In 1954, he underwent a risky back surgery that nearly ended his life. Complications led to months of recovery. At one point, a priest administered last rites. But he survived. During recovery, he began writing again. That effort would later become Profiles in Courage, a book that won the Pulitzer Prize in 1957. Even in weakness, he was building legacy. Before the White House, a man becoming myth. By the late 1950s, Kennedy had become something rare in American politics. Youthful and electable. Television was reshaping campaigns. His charisma translated through the screen. Yet before he would become President of the United States, before he would stand on the inaugural platform in 1961, he was shaped by illness, rivalry, war, tragedy, and relentless expectation. He was not born inevitable. He was forged. The sickly child became the war hero. The second son became the political heir. The underestimated student became a best-selling author. And before he would become a president, before he would become the father of 2 children growing up inside the White House, he was simply John Fitzgerald Kennedy. Learning, enduring, preparing. If you'd like, I can now continue into the next chapter. His 1960 campaign, marriage to Jacqueline Bouvier, and the transformation from senator to president, in the same detailed cinematic format.
Thank you, my viewer. I hope you keep it here on my channel for more discoveries on all the celebrities' untold journeys. Like, comment, and subscribe on Hajara Rama channel. Thank you so much.